little bits and right here on the counterbalance, I'm going to stick some tape on there, a little bit hanging over the leading edge so it's easy to take off. And we'll tape that surface flush. And same on the rudder. I'll take a little bigger piece and put it up on the front of the counterbalance, making sure that rudder is neutral. Rudder elevator is all taped neutral now. Take our Z-bend, push it into the elevator push rod, just kind of with rolling it really slowly, work it in. If you feel any tension at all, stop, because you'll split that plywood. But if you work it real easy, just twist it and kind of wiggle it back and forth. It'll get right in there. And you're going to take another, two of your push rod standoffs, which are these guys here, little plywood standoff with the 070 hole in it. And take two of those, put them down the push rod, and make sure that they are working free. Make sure they're sliding in and out of that easy. You may even, this one's a little tight. Well, I'll take my 070 push rod, slide it in there, and just kind of work it out a little bit, round it out a little bit so that it moves freely, even at some angle. You want about well, I'd say a good 10 degrees worth of angle you want it to work at. And you might as well do that for all four of them right now. Okay, slide two of them down the push rod. About halfway down. Just slide your heat shrink tubing over it. You want to take your servo, and the way I have it is the lead goes forward. And it's going to, the arm's coming out and the lead's going forward. It's going to be right in that area somewhere. But we'll take your little Z-bend push rod, and with these you put it in the very outside hole, which is, if you're using some other type of servo, it's going to be 3/4 of an inch length out from the center output shaft. And then we're going to do the same thing we did with the Alon servos. Grab the regular CA again. Get your lighter out, shrink it. And of course the servo has the little piece of steel already hanging in the horn. Put the CA on the carbon. Don't let that stuff drip on that foam. Have a towel with you on hand in case it does. Slide that push rod in there, move the shrink tube up, line it all up where it's going to fit, just like so. So everything looks hunky-dory, and everything's at the right angle. And then I want you to kind of lift it off and then give it a shrink here. Just like so. Now we'll take and we're going to glue this servo into position. So we'll put the regular CA aside, grab the foam safe again, and put your foam safe on the servo. Spray a little bit on the foam where it's going to go. Whoop. And then watch out, it's like contact cement, so you want to make sure everything is lined up just right. You just lay it on there. Servo horn is, 90 degrees. Elevator's taped flat. Little standoffs aren't binding with anything. Press it down in there. And then I give it a couple drops right where the mounting lugs are, right underneath the mounting lug. Probably 2 drops on each side. And give it another squirt. Now we got the elevator push rod on there. Now we can do the standoffs, and we're going to spread those out so we have pretty much 3 equal distances. And as you can see, they're standing up off the foam, and that's perfectly normal. That's supposed to be that way, especially the one up in front. That's pretty close. And while they're dangling there, using gravity, just push the rod down till the standoff touches. Put a little bit of CA bead down each side of it. You may want to lift it up and make sure the CA is all puddled underneath there. Get it with the accelerator. And make sure it's important that standoff comes right off of there, 90 degrees off of that foam. And that also you're not making the push rod, you know, bow this way. It's okay that it comes down to the fuselage and back up, because as this servo travels, this arm's going to get closer to the foam, and therefore the binding goes away as you're getting into the deflection. It's binding at most near center, but it's really not binding. It's quite smooth. And again, with the front one, it's kind of dangling there, and then just push the push rod down, and that way it's not drifting too much forward and back, or up and down I should say. Push it on the outside, stand it up straight. Give it a good look down the push rod, nice and straight. Perfect. You can even take the tape off of the counterbalances. Nice and smooth. We'll do the same thing with the rudder. Push rod, 2 standoffs, heat shrink tubing, put your servo, put your little Z-bend in there, grab the right CA, these lay down there nice, all lined up good. Careful not to melt the foam when you do that, and if there's any accelerator anywhere near that area, do not use flame, because that stuff will immediately go up in flame and just eat right through the foam. You'll just melt your plane away in a second. So definitely keep flame and the glue and the accelerator away from each other. A lot of times when I'm doing repairs or certain ways, I'll use aluminum foil, especially the 3mm indoor planes. They're real sensitive to heat. I use a little bit of a heat gauge like that, lay that up in there, and then you can feel a little bit more free to get in there with some heat. Back to the foam safe. My accelerator, everything's ready. Okay. Put the glue on the servo. Spray the foam.